You are listening to Sexploration with Monika. And today we're going to explore Middle Eastern feminism in its complexity, its beauty, and the suffering of women and children and a lot of people, really. And, I'm going to start out actually a little bit lighter than, we did in the intro. Certainly, I think, I met you at a party. We both work at the same brokerage, Engel and Volkers. And we were like, oh, yeah, I have a sex positive talk show. And then you're like, oh, I do sexy art. And, you told me a little bit about, your persona, Shiva J, and, some of the paintings and the drawings that you did. And, I loved seeing your work hang up at the brokerage in your office. Like, it's great that you've, come that far and you can just do that now. And you got into so much trouble for your drawings as a child. Yes. Tell us more about that.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on Sexploration with Monika. I'm so excited.
When we met in the party and you talked about what your show is,
experiences.
I was like,
my
serenades all sparkling.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, I originally born in Tehran, Iran, 1975. And very early on, I find out that art is my secret cave.
Yeah.
And
your passion.
Yes, my
but
passion.
But also what burns you.
Exactly. So at age 5, something not so pleasant happened to me. And I lost my ability to speech for a long time. And people thought I just all of a sudden
you were
got
mute.
Stupid. Yes.
I
couldn't. I could make some voices like a scream.
Right.
But I couldn't make up a word. I couldn't talk as I used to. And that was the shock after the fact.
And it was because of a trauma happened to you that you lost the ability to speak?
Yes, I had a trauma when I was 5 going to 6 years old. And that was my cousin who was ill mentally, and I was left alone in the house with him. So art was a way.
And so you couldn't speak at all because he was completely inappropriate and hurt you.
Well, it was, yes. So it was an assault.
Right.
And it was forced.
Right.
And I
he
didn't
raped
know.
You.
Yes. And I didn't know what is going on.
You just couldn't speak anymore.
I think my body and mind got shocked at that age. I didn't know what is going on.
Well, it's a very young age to have a huge trauma like that, and you just aren't safe, and so you're like, okay, I'll just shut down.
Yes. And I find out I was about 7 to go to 8 that I had this little boy who was deaf and speechless. He couldn't talk or listen to. And he was communicating with everybody, every kid, via drawing.
Oh.
So he was writing down what he wants to do, what game, and what does he means.
Sure.
And it was just beyond my belief how with like lines he can make that communication.
Express himself.
Yes, exactly.
So you wanted to express yourself.
Exactly. So that when we connected, and he showed me to stop screaming when someone comes close to you, and start drawing it. Dry these fears.
Yeah.
And that took me to another world
of
expressing myself through drawing. Later on, war. We had 8 years war in Iran. With Iraq. So under the bomb shelter, when there was no toy,
right,
that's what me and my sister all did.
Drew.
drew
made
to get the
pictures.
anxiety out. That
Right.
what is going on up there.
Right.
But yes, art was my
Way of
deepest
expressing.
passion and way of expressing fantasy, fairy tale, what I wish, or fears, or darkness.
Yeah.
So that's how I entered to the world of drawing.
Yeah. And something really horrible happened to you. They found your drawings. And tell me what happened then.
So when I was in, I always sketched along the way. This
Right.
was always in my mind. And when I was in high school, I got into trouble because they found my
Your sketch
main
pad.
exactly my main interest is figure drawing.
Right.
I draw human, and specifically I love to draw couples when they tangled because I think it's the most complex
Interesting.
body contour that I draw. And they find some of my nude drawings, which is illegal there.
Right.
Drawing a figure is illegal, let's say, when it's nude. And then nude and couples in action I was drawing. Then they just labeled me right and left that this kid has a very serious issue.
Right.
And that leads me to dark places. I've
And
been jailed.
and they punished you.
Yes. So the punishment for a lot of things that it's basic rights here: dance, showing your hair, having makeup, nail polish, high heels, drawing. The light punish for minor, it's 30 slashes.
And you mean like they not only beat you, but I kind of thought of it like a single tail whip, but you said it was worse than that, and they also burn you with the cigarettes.
So yes, it depends. It depends who will be in charge of you
your
in
torture.
jail. And I don't want to go to that part,
no,
but
too deep. Yeah.
yes, but there's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal, and it's even in
And
punishment.
even if they're like trying to make you better,
they try. You have to.
They're
Well,
fixing
of course,
you.
it's an Islamic republic, so you have to
Right.
follow what religious said. But what they expanded based on this religion,
right,
it's more controlling, more
Right.
suppressing
right,
than what it is. So,
right.
and it's not the same punishment than a male
Right.
start drawing
Because it's
something. Or,
you're a woman, and so that's
because yes,
it's
there
kind
is
of like
all kinds of discrimination.
right. It's like a sex
between-
crime.
Yes, exactly. So
And also the impressionist art that they found, even that wasn't okay. Like you had,
yes, so in college, I started studying art history, and in college we had a black market bookstore that was under the basement, and you could get books that are uncensored. And I was curious about why Impressionists had their work refused by saloons.
Yeah.
And why
Like,
they
what
didn't
was the big
consider-
deal?
Yeah, what was the big deal?
Yeah.
Well, coming out of Renaissance, which
Sure.
it was all nude had to have wings because it's, angel
Yeah.
and
Cupid.
they wanted to paint normal people, normal, beautiful women. And in that case,
Yeah, the Rubenesques.
exactly. So they were like elite prostitutes
Right.
that they were willing to model for these young group of artists. And when they've been teaching in college about Impressionists, imagine there's a textbook, and they have a picture of that painting they're talking about that was refused, Lunch in the Grass. There is a big black mark where the lady's sitting
Right.
naked.
And you can't
And
actually
I was
see
I'm like,
what's
I'm
underneath that
dying
big
to know
black
what is it.
mask.
They've redacted everything
Yeah,
to the point
exactly.
of where
You
Yeah.
can't
you can't
see
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like,
And what are
is
they
it?
hiding?
Right.
And
As
so
a
your
teenager,
curiosity,
exactly, your curiosity
you
goes
had to
wild. And
find out.
I found that book in that bookstore, and there was a crackdown in that bookstore that day. So
Oh,
yes, so they got us along with two of my other
friends.
colleague classmates, and I don't know, this is a sad part to say that I was lucky that my dad was in Air Force, so he
Oh.
was part of the government.
Oh, so
And because of
he-
his title, I was released.
Oh.
Otherwise, I would be one of those people don't survive from
Oh,
jail. So,
yeah. And what's amazing is that you can be tortured and then just disappear. Like it just is so different, and let's talk a little bit about what's going on now with feminists, that they're just even protesting and then going to jail.
so yes, particularly about Iran, I know a little bit about every other country around it, but Iran, I was in contact with my friends. And they started several years ago with something called White Wednesday.
Ah,
And White Wednesday was a protest of females in Iran that they take well, it wasn't underwear. It was like piece of cloth resemble of underwear
okay.
or feminines. And they would put it on the stick in roundabout of Tehran every Wednesday.
And so it would just be some underwear on a stick.
On a stick.
Waving the underwear around.
Without
Not that
your
anyone wearing.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's not even real underwear. It's just something representing.
Yeah, represented.
Right.
Yeah, it could be like piece of cloth that you cut it look like
A triangle or
Right,
something.
right,
It's
right,
almost like when they did the thing for in Washington with the pussy hats.
Yes,
They're
yes,
pink
yes, yes,
wool hats.
yes.
Right.
So they would just
Wave it around.
wave that in the roundabout, and they wouldn't wear the veil, the hijab that they're
Right.
mandatory. And that was a protest, very silent protest.
Right.
They didn't harm anyone to
Right.
say, we want an option
Right.
if you don't want to wear
Wear
hijab,
this.
and we want our hair to be in air. They would
Right.
say, my hair in air.
Right.
I want that option.
Right.
I don't want to be mandated
Right.
by whatever religion, men, policy.
Sure.
And they've been massacring these women. Some of them had kids in their arms. They were moms, and they were fighting for their own daughter's future. That,
Yeah.
I don't want this for my daughter. And
Right.
they've been straight shooting them, and it got worse and worse until last year, that as of right now, over 5,000 people are in jail for these protests, and it's still going on. So the more they're killing, the more these generation come up. And it used to be just female on the street.
Luckily, now the men are joining.
Yes. Young generation men are joining.
That's
and
so good.
That is making.
But it's also so poignant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It makes everyone
to the bloodshed.
hopeful that
Ugh.
that this move,
Yeah.
this movement
It's
is not going to
really-
die by killing.
Yeah.
It won't, because
Right.
it keeps popping up.
Right.
And new generation has more critical thinking than
Right.
just be tied up with one book
Right.
that says this is the life of living.
Right. Yeah, one book. Yeah. And what are some of the other protest movements? Like, how can we as Westerners support this movement? How can we, educate ourselves? And, what are some of the hashtags, for instance, that support this movement?
Good question. So the hashtag, it's Woman Life Freedom.
Woman, life, freedom. Okay.
And if you search that on Instagram, online, anywhere, you can see
Facebook,
that they're trying, because
Twitch.
so social media, it's filtered in Iran, something like South Korea.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, North
it's
Korea.
filtered here,
Yeah.
but
yes,
not-
differently.
yes, But
So
it's better here.
they don't let
frankly.
they don't let these films
No
or
nipples.
clips comes exactly.
And that hashtag again was woman.
Woman, life, freedom.
Freedom.
Thank you.
So it's filtered. So if you go to that hashtag, there are people that they try to break that filter and get those messages from
Right.
directly from Iran,
Mhm.
and then they spread it around. So
Right.
other people know that this fight, it's not just in Middle East.
Yeah.
This fight, it's for global, to gain this right that we have a choice to
Yeah.
what we wear, and the judgment of the society or in Middle East, it cannot be mandated by religion. You know, there was a time that religion was handed out from your ancestor or family, and you have to follow that.
Right. Well, it was
we no longer
cultural
live
norms.
in that. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
And yeah, I mean, especially with, the Scarlet Letter, I mean, that kind of, what was going on, the book burnings and early feminism. I mean, there's a lot of work that we have done, but there's still a lot that we have yet to do. I mean, Roe v. Wade, all the things, right? And so I think, there's so many ways that we can, allow women to have freedom and sexual freedom, and, and there's so many ways that we can protest.
so one of the very fun way that I encourage everyone
Yeah.
to protest
Yeah.
and support this is Dance for Freedom. They started the hashtag Dance for Freedom or Dance for Iran.
freedom.
What
Dance
you
for
can do,
Iran.
which is very simple,
Hmm.
is put a camera or just selfie. What you do in social
Yeah.
media, put your favorite
do it on
music and
Instagram
dance. Do a
and
little
dance.
dance, and then
Yeah.
hashtag it.
Yeah.
Women
Dance
Life
for
Freedom.
Women
In
life
support
freedom.
of women in Middle East, that they
Yeah.
want their basic rights,
Yeah.
basic joy, that is
Yeah.
singing, that is dancing,
Yeah.
that it's hearing
I mean,
music,
singing being
going
illegal.
to concert, going
That's
to
crazy.
watch a football or basketball. We're
Right.
not allowed in
Right.
Iran. It's all
Yeah.
forbidden.
Right.
So that would be the very small help
You can do the
do.
smallest
and it goes
thing.
in viral, right?
Right, exactly.
And it's
Women
more
life
helpful.
freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So dance
Yeah.
and sing, and then hashtag and appreciate that we're here.
Yeah.
We can do this.
That we can.
We have this privilege,
Yeah.
and they don't over there.
Right.
It has to be hidden, and if they record it and it's dispersed, they're going to get caught. So
Yeah.
because they're tracking them
Yeah.
through social media.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for you guys not to do it because you have both those hashtags on your
Yeah.
screen right now.
Yes,
Women's Life
please.
Freedom and
Women
Dance for
life
Freedom.
freedom and dance for freedom. Yeah. And I'm just thinking about, like what we, how hard we've worked and like what we are trying to accomplish, and yes, there's so much more that, we want. And obviously, I obviously here in the Bay Area, we have so much freedom just because, the gay culture and the feminism, we've had so much freedom. And even in the rest of the country, like when you go to the Middle East or sorry, I was going to say the Midwest. The Midwest, when you go to the Midwest, it's just not as free,
and you do not find, as presidents of Iran said, they don't have gay because they kill it.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
So, it's not, the freedom is
Yeah.
not
And here
even
you
a
can
word
be
there.
not only gay, you can be queer, you can be transgender, you can just not have a gender, you can have pronouns that are different than everyone's. And it's so refreshing to see what we have here. And then also, be able to test and protest and stand with our sisters and brothers and others, that, there are terrors happening right now. And, we just don't hear about it on the radio because they're just not reported,
Exactly. And this is one thing I hope that changes.
Yeah.
The
Well,
culture
and you're
of,
working on change.
right, the culture of threatening
Mm-hmm.
female
Yeah.
by rape, the
Right.
culture of rape.
Yeah.
that,
Rape culture.
you'll be
Mhm.
silenced or it's going to be another way. And this is going on. It's not just in Middle East, but culturally in a lot of culture. This is the
Well,
threat
and that's
within
war.
within that, right?
Mhm.
And in war,
Wartime.
um,
What happens to the women and
Yes.
children.
exactly.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. It's terrifying to know that this is the only body we got.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't change it.
But we are infinite.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
And if you kill this body, I don't know. We might come back. We're just going to be stronger and more badass. And tell me about your show coming up. I'm so
So
excited
my
about your show in
show is-
Orinda.
In March 3rd, I'm going to have an opening, and the whole March through April, I will have a show that I will display some part of my childhood memory, womanhood, and there's going to be a lot of romantic, sensual pieces that I
Yeah.
like to display.
Yeah.
So I always think art is the loudest protest of all.
Yeah.
Because there are
Because it's
you,
you see it.
yes, you see it, it's
You know?
visualized.
Mhm.
And with this show I'm trying to show part of the struggle and the fantasy
Yeah.
that an individual like me
Yeah.
in Middle East
Yeah.
cannot have
Mhm.
or cannot display.
Yeah.
So I'll be the voice of who cannot.
You're going to do it for those who can't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and what I really love, we spoke a little bit about like the distinction, for me, sex positive feminism, which means that I don't believe that sex is bad. And I also am not against men. I love men. And I want to, find ways that we can collaborate and build partnerships and not make men wrong just for having penises, right? Like, and what is the goal of feminism, right? It's not hating men.
Yes, that's exactly, Monica. I struggle within my feminist
Yeah.
friends
Mhm.
most of the time.
Yeah.
When I talk
All men
about
are.
eroticism,
Right.
that I like, this is what I like
Right.
to have a
Mhm.
partner to have this planning and
Yeah.
fantasy and
Yeah.
play. We are adults, but
Yeah.
we're not. I don't want to be a joyless adult and be adult all the time with all the
Yeah.
routine. I have a 15 years
Play.
old.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, there are times that I want to be that vibrant teenager that I
Yeah.
didn't have chance
Yeah.
to be in
Yeah.
Iran
Of course.
during high school.
Right.
So it's either that or I learned how to not be ashamed
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy myself.
Right.
Not to be ashamed of designing and finding out what pleasures me.
Yeah.
And how I can give pleasure
self-pleasuring.
to other.
Also known as masturbation, which, honestly, okay, to disturb the genitals with the hand, that's what masturbate means. And it's like something dirty because it's the Victorians. But the problem is like, to disturb your genitals with your hand is actually a way to create pleasure in your body. And I think it's so important that we get away from making it wrong and bad and icky and
Not just that, I experienced that touch,
Yeah.
an erotic touch, when it comes to your partner or whoever,
Yeah.
or partners,
Yeah.
we're not going to limit any kind of sexuality.
Right.
It could be very healing.
Yeah.
It has healing.
It is healing.
It has, it gives you self-confidence. It has joy in it.
Uh-huh.
It's all the vitamins and boosts that you need.
Well, and you're
to-
getting into brainwave states that are
Exactly.
healing.
It gets
Together.
rid of your depression.
Exactly.
And for someone like me, who with that background and trauma,
Yeah.
it comes mistrust with
Right.
people.
Right.
This is a practice to get to the safe place
Yeah.
with someone, to
Yeah.
gain that trust,
Mm-hmm.
to know that you can give them pleasure and they can give you pleasure, and you can receive that
Yeah.
in a safe space.
Yeah. Totally. Amen. I just love, all of the ways of, exploring pleasure and then making the world better, because, the personal, your self pleasure, and then also like the vibrations that you put out in the world by not suppressing yourself
Right.
and creating art. And then also, sharing it. I love, honestly, for me, what just delights me is just you having, I think it was kind of it was just a very expressive piece, but it was at your office, and it was just so lovely that you could, have, I mean, it wasn't in any way dirty, but it's like really beautiful.
Sensual.
Yeah, sensual.
I have a 15 years old boy,
Mm-hmm.
and when he hit puberty,
Right.
I'm like, okay, I wish a male could have this talk with him.
Right.
But, okay, that's out of
But
question.
you're here.
And,
You're the only one here. So you have to have the
so
talk with
I
him.
sat down with him, and
Right.
I told him, okay, it might be uncomfortable, but I think it's time to talk about this, and I
Right.
want to talk about this,
Right.
because I don't want you to think this is something is scary that you have to avoid
Right.
talking
Yeah,
about it.
Of course.
It's a great thing that you enter to this world
Yeah.
of adulthood joy,
Mm-hmm.
but to be responsible for. And his response was, "Yes, Mom. What do you want to talk about?" I said, "Sex." And he said, "What do you want to know about? If you have question, ask me." I'm like, "Oh yes." Raise the good vibe. But
Yeah.
my goal with my own boy
Right.
is someone who can create the masculinity. I
Right.
think it comes when you can create that safe place,
Right.
for
With
your
partners.
partner,
Mm-hmm.
and ask question and explore what is your fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that. Let's see if we can make that setting
Mm-hmm.
and do that for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only in your head and you think this is dirty, I'm such an awful, I have to keep repeating this story.
Right.
It actually could be manageable when you trust someone
Mm-hmm.
to play with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be another world that we never experienced in our last generation, at least I
Yeah.
know from my generation.
Well, it's just not censored and furtive, and then I don't know. I think if you can remove the layers of shame, and that's kind of, it's the shame that kind of props up this rape culture, and making it more like, okay, how do let's talk about if you want to do BDSM play, for instance, then we're talking about safe words. And how do we make this safe both for the people on top, but how do we make it safe for the people on the bottom? So it's a true power exchange that actually makes both people happy and free,
yes.
so that we can heal together.
It has definitely healing power into it, and that's a kind of intimacy and connection between human being
Yeah.
that it's you don't need language really. Like I would be
That's
forgiven
so
with
true,
my
yeah.
accent
Yeah.
or any kind of fancy word that in other world I don't know, because
Yeah.
you could lead and you could communicate with your
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful.
It totally is.
It is
I
the
mean-
international language.
Yes.
Well, okay. I do believe that words are neat and helpful, and
Sure.
especially at the beginning. You know what I mean? When you're just starting the relationship,
Right.
you know, like actually being careful, conscious with, you know, what do I, you know, and then for me, it's always like, okay, what do I really want? And then realizing, okay, and what am I willing to share with another person? Right? And then, you know, how far do I want to go in this moment? And, you know, do I, you know, because for me, I don't want to unwrap everything all at once. I want to have it be a joyful, fun process. And so,
Are you saying every day should be Christmas?
well,
Or
In a
Christmas
way.
Eve and they get to open Monica?
I mean, it depends. I mean, obviously, it's very relational,
Sure,
right? And
absolutely.
and I want it to feel safe for me, not just because I'm, oh my God, Sexploration with Monica, and
Right.
obviously people have this idea that, you know, I'm going to want to do everything immediately, and okay, that's not true.
Yeah, if another person runs up to you on the street and says, "Sign my breast," I'm out of here. I'm kidding. Thank you.
Although I would be happy to sign your boob.
Thank you.
I
I've got the
want
Sharpie.
to. Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily want you to sign my boob because, you know,
Just
well, it probably is a little carcinogenic,
ooh.
maybe. And
Oh,
so I don't want those chemicals absorbed
that
into
wouldn't
my
be too sharp or Sharpie.
right. So maybe and then, you know, we would have to anyway, we're getting way off the
So
point.
yeah, negotiate.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like, so let's just talk about like how we can make this world more fun for everyone, women, men, and everyone else. You know, I love the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence here, where we're inclusive of all the different genders and all the different ways to express yourself. And I, you know, celebrate that about, you know, this culture. I'm sure that, you know, moving here, you got to be like, wow, I mean, not only is it okay for me just to be,
No parents came
Yeah.
with me when I was 19.
Yeah.
Like, woohoo,
You're like a
Wonderland.
kid in a candy store.
yeah,
Wonderland, yes. And exactly when you have that kind of freedom,
yeah,
you build a boundary
Mhm.
around it.
yeah, you have to
And-
make yourself safe. Too.
Exactly. So freedom doesn't mean that you
All
are
the
going to
doors
be unsafe
yeah.
and you're going to hurt other people
Right.
and let other people hurt you. It needs a lot of
Container.
actually boundaries and
Yeah.
a lot of
make a safe container.
frank communication.
Yes.
Of what do you want? What's
Mhm.
absolutely big no-no? What is okay? Right?
Totally.
So
Hugely important.
exactly. So you can make that secret and safe
Yeah.
space to have that play with erotica.
Yeah, to have intimacy. And it doesn't have to be, you know, I mean, it can be the secret between the two of you that's not, like,
Revealed.
maybe you don't tell the people at work, for instance, but, you know, you can, yeah,
It's at your discretion.
exactly.
It really is.
You can be free.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
Mysterious makes it more fun, right?
Yeah.
More interesting.
For some people,
And,
absolutely, right?
I
Well,
have
Really, for married couples, too.
Absolutely.
yes, married couples. I
You look at me
when
with
I
that
stayed-
side eye.
Well, I don't mean it like that.
No, but seriously, when I talk about that with married couples
Yeah.
and my friends just rolling
The
their eyes, they're
polarity,
like,
Oh,
what?
yeah.
right? You
I'm
need
like,
that polarity in a
why
relationship
not?
to make
Meet
it
somewhere
more
at the bar and
spicy.
say, exactly.
Believe me, you don't have to hard sell me, ladies. It's okay. I love my wife. I love my situation.
No.
But what I'm saying is, yeah, I get it.
And it, you know, you work so hard, and then to have some relaxation and pleasure, you know, it's
can-
important. It's a nutrient.
Especially with kids,
Yeah.
married with kids, everything
Totally.
gets very routine. Positions get very boring. It's like, the same thing. But if you like,
Do the usual.
set it up somewhere,
The huge.
you know,
use.
I mean, I don't have that advantage. I didn't live that way. I hope in future,
Right.
I end up with a partner who's open to this, to
Right.
say, hey, let's meet at the bar. You know, you'll
Yeah.
be whatever. You'll be
We'll dress
doctor
up as
surgeon.
cops.
You'll be
Mhm.
doctor surgeon, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be whatever lawyer.
Sure.
And let's just show up and
And be
talk
like,
and
Hi, what are
meet
you doing
somewhere,
here?
check in, and do that. It's spicing
Just a fun
things up.
game.
It
Mhm.
changes environment,
Yeah.
changes the
Mhm. The
experience,
energy.
the experience you
Yeah.
have. So
Totally. Yeah, all the fun little things that we can play as sex positive feminists and explore.
yeah, and I loved what you said, that you're feminist, but you
Yeah.
like that masculinity. That's,
Oh, absolutely.
I
and
am
I think
feminist.
that
I don't-
balance
I-
is key.
I do like being with men. I
Mhm.
like that little bit of masculinity,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to, erotic play.
Yeah.
And
Sex.
I don't really get, because hate and feminism doesn't go together. To me,
Mhm.
feminism is cherishing that nurturing and
Mm-hmm.
loving part of female.
Mhm.
So when you bring men hatred, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah, like male
get
hating.
that concept
Mhm.
unless you just think these are probably people who haven't dealt with the past wound. They're angry. They're
Yeah.
might be
And
scarred.
I think we all have, wounds because we live in a sex negative culture. But then, how do we make sure that we are, being and becoming more healed as time goes on, and not getting stuck in our patterns of
right.
othering and being like, oh, you're wrong, you know?
Yeah.
And how do we, change and become better and more in love, right? Yeah, I love what you talk about in terms of like, how do we create love not only for, each other and the world, but also, in your art and in like you were talking about your event coming up and how like you want it to be kind of like spicy and open to everyone,
Yes.
and
So-
free.
Exactly. So my art, it's in Orinda. It's kind of like family town.
It
so
is a
I am
family town, but
restricted.
it's a
Yes,
cute
I'm
family
restricted.
town,
Yes,
yeah.
it's very cute.
And very close to the city.
Yes. So part of my pieces that I design for couples in their bedroom, because
Uh-huh.
couples often call me, can you draw this and that? It's very
Oh,
erotic for
yeah,
our bedroom.
That's nice.
I can't display those, but if you come and I can give you a card and my information so you can come visit my studio,
Yeah.
that you can see one of those spicy, juicy, rated R,
Yeah.
whatever that you might be interested to put it in your bedroom, because that's another setting. You want to enter somewhere that invites you to that sensuality.
Your sacred space.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also, I think, sometimes we get so into the routines that we don't make our bedroom a sacred space or a saucy space.
We have like
You know.
insurance bill on the nightstand. That's not sexy.
Not that I don't, but that, like,
That is
oh,
not
like,
foreplay, ladies, at all.
Yes.
That is not foreplay.
and your taxes, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard because, we live in small spaces, especially here in the city, and it's like hard to like
Yes.
make a sacred saucy space
Yes.
for your bed,
But you can always make a setting. You
Totally.
can pack it up when you plan it.
Totally.
Because when you plan it,
Planning.
then with intention you go into this. You put candle,
Absolutely.
you put some music, you put, different sheet.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, spice it up. And it's I do love the attention and intention, just the way that we can create both an intention and put our attention on a moment, because we can like every moment is special and sacred and unrepeatable.
It's a Michelin star
Yeah.
dinner. It's not fast food.
Exactly. And how like each each moment that we have with our partner, sometimes we get kind of in the routines and we think, oh, oh, I just have to get this done and I la 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 la. And then you're not really being present with this moment with your partners. And, it's really important to, have space and like, oh, wait, even if it's just a few moments, like, and I don't know if you have time for date time or, things like that, but like making it like, oh, like now we're going to really, set our intentions to really connect, even if it's only 5 minutes, right?
Be intentional.
Right. And then really create that space. And I mean, especially if you can, make that art and then have that piece that kind of reminds you, oh, wait, we do really love each other and look at this passion.
And use your creativity
Yeah.
To every time to make it different.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, actually, we were talking about this on Sexy Challenges, where this couple like uses their relationship as a way to do sex magic with each other. And like, so they do the attention and intention to create this sacred space in their relationship. And then, literally use that time together making love, but also that they're putting energy out into the world to, change the world and also change their lives. Because, I think energy is in a way a prayer, and that's kind of why we're both protesting violence and saying, hey, what are the ways that we can dance? What are the ways that we can add positive energy into the world? Because the world is hard, and everyone has struggle, but how can we raise our vibrations and like start to really like make the world better?
Yes.
Personally and for everyone.
Yes. Use the dance as a foreplay.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
could be very sensual movement.
Yeah, exactly. And and foreplay, right?
Yes.
Like I think people think, oh well, I'm just gonna get down to business, and not that I don't love a quickie. I do. But it's so nice to like take time to like really get into, and not just have it be, oh, we're getting to the, PV, penis vagina intercourse, but be, like it is the journey. Like sex is a journey. It's not just like, oh, penis vagina destination time.
And you're building up that relationship because you're having a conversation. And so one thing that I've thought about twice, and I don't know why it keeps popping into my head, but you're an artist. And so one of the things that I thought about is what is it called? Body paint.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so that
Right.
can be just a fun activity that
Totally. You
is
can paint
something
each
totally
other.
different. You could put it in your sex shrine or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
right? It's right there
kit.
next to your bed, your
Yeah.
kit. And
You could paint each other.
everybody likes to finger paint.
Oh,
You like how my eyes did that thing, huh? so yeah, yeah. Would like to have a little paint on the brush, so to speak. And
Right.
so that's a good thing, and that's fun.
Yeah.
And then it usually ends up where you want to be anyway, right?
Well, and you're playing,
Right.
right? You're just expressing joy, and it's not a plan like what I want this moment to be. Like I have to make it like this, but like you can have it be, and it's always unrepeatable, right?
Right.
Like even if you do the same game a second time, it's not going to end the same way.
No, I don't
That's
ever
what's
win
beautiful.
Monopoly twice in the same. But that's a great thing. I mean, again, building communication, having that energy in the room, right? And so, speaking of energy in the room, somebody's really going at it.
Somebody's really having.
Yeah, I
energy
think
in
somebody's
the room.
really enjoying this podcast.
Yeah.
This Ace over here. So, but so that's a beautiful thing. That's a great thing.
Yeah, totally. So let's tell me more about one of the some of the things that are planned for your show in Arinda.
So we are going to start at 2:30
Mhm.
on March 3rd,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be cocktail and mocktails and drinks and
Mhm.
snacks, and it's going to be love stories sharing. It's going to be a lot of
Oh.
pieces that has a story of romance.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of Persian poets that it's romantic, and that what I'm chasing.
Hafiz.
Yes.
Oh,
So
I love him.
I'm chasing is to probably stimulate people with some love story that they have,
Yeah.
because this is what I love to do. If you give me a love story, I can make it to a painting or a
Oh,
drawing and
yeah.
a narrative, illustrations. And I love to exchange those love stories, how people collided together, what was interesting about their,
Yeah.
how did you pick this man versus other
Yeah.
men? What was it about? You'd be surprised. Some people like the first kiss, the way he kissed me slowly,
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
or the way he stroked my hair
Yeah.
while we've been making love. It was something that never anybody else done that before.
Yeah.
So I love to exchange those stories.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And how can people find your art on the internet?
So there's a couple of ways of doing it. The first is my website, which is artbyshiva.org.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is my Instagram tag, which is at Shiva-Daily Sketchbook. So you can go see part of my daily sketching there, but website is the first thing you can go to.
Got it. Shiva-Daily Sketchbook.
Yes.
Cool.
And here's some of that information about her event there, so you guys
Yeah.
have it.
And is there anything else that you want to share with people about dancing and connecting and being in joy with each other?
So I want to say I have one religion I created it, that has 3 rules.
I have my
Okay.
own religion too.
Kisses,
Yeah.
All right.
kids,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
and kindness.
Oh, kisses,
So-
kids, and kindness.
Yes. So those are my rules in
Yeah.
my own religion that I created it.
Yeah.
And
a do-it-yourself religion.
yes.
DIY.
Yes, exactly. So what I want to encourage people, stroke and kiss has a very, very powerful healing
Totally.
energy to it. So
Yeah.
use it. My joke is, if you cannot find anybody daily to kiss, your spouse or partner is not around, find a kid who you know and ask permission.
Yeah.
Ask permission.
Where's the disclaimer?
Yes, exactly.
It's a good
May
disclaimer.
I kiss you? May I kiss you?
Uh-huh.
Of course, a kid, you're not going to street and
Yeah.
just randomly do that. But
Totally.
it changes the
Yeah.
whole energy
like a
in
hug
you
kind of
every
thing.
day.
Yeah.
So you release
It's like a hug.
endorphins, it lowers blood pressure, it spreads love throughout
Yes.
the world.
Yeah.
Plant kisses and spread love. That's what and in every love making, I think there is a story.
Yeah.
There is a chance that you get to know a part of another human being you might not know about.
Totally.
You're-
And give us the hashtags one more time.
Woman, life, freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on your screen now, guys.
Woman, life, freedom, and what was the other one?
Dance,
Dance
for freedom.
freedom.
Dance
for
for
freedom.
freedom.
Record yourself as you dance with any
Yeah.
and
social media.
Yes, and then just put it on social media and hashtag it.
Excellent. Well, thank you,
Thank you
so
for having
much
me.
for coming on
I hope I can
Sexploration
see
with
you guys
Monika.
all.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I
We
am.
have to do an event together.
Yeah,
don't we?
absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, we can do it here. We can do it lots of different places. So,
Looking forward
I'm-
to see you.
yeah, likewise. Thanks so much for coming on Sexploration with Monika. And I'm just grateful that people can be here in this moment, spreading joy and furthering exploration. Thanks for listening.